Alright, what's up, guys? We are back here with another album review, and today we are reviewing Slayer Seasons in the Abyss. Now, this one does not have the Slayer logo on it, but again, this album is still an amazing Slayer album. And they continued their. They just continue. Truly, this album has just one great song after another, and it's just filled with just it's just one of those songs that just tickles your ears or something. There's always a song in there that tickles your ears, and there's just so many great riffs on this album, including the title track Seasons in the Abyss. This album is just another beautiful thrash album by Slayer, and I really enjoy this album. I would go as far as to say this album is just as good as South of Heaven, if not better. Now, I like South of Heaven better than Rain and Blood, but Rain and Blood is still a good album. But this one's just as good as South of Heaven. It's just another great-ass satanic thrash album from Slayer, and I love it. Now, it is sad that Slayer no longer plays anymore. But as of this year, they quit. But again, Slayer is an amazing band, and this is just another amazing effort by that band. And in my opinion, it's another. Between the albums that we've reviewed already, none of those albums are bad at all. I like every album that I've reviewed already. Now, what I do is I sit down and listen to I listen to a band's every album and EPs if they include new songs. Sometimes EPs just like to include songs that are already in albums. But if they include new songs, then I'll listen to them. But this one definitely was the case of another great album. And this album is going into the 90s. 1990 is when this one came out. So we're in the 90s now. But again, the 90s era did not treat Slayer well. There are a couple really bad albums that they did. I'm thinking of two right now. But we'll get to those eventually. But this one is something great that came out of the 90s. Now, there was another one in the 90s that I really liked. But looking at this one from a critical standpoint, it's not as heavy. It's about as heavy as South of Heaven, but it's not as heavy as Rain and Blood, and it definitely is a downgrade. Looking at it from a critical standpoint, it's definitely a downgrade from their older sound, but it's still nonetheless a great Slayer album, and I highly recommend it. So remember to leave a comment, like, and subscribe.